Good afternoon. I had tried to record this class earlier and I wasn't able to get it to save to the cloud. And so what I've done now is I'm back at the office and I'm going to walk through that PowerPoint you guys see listed as Tuesday. I'm going to share my screen and just kind of talk through what I want you to do as your assignment today, rather than meet face to face. Just you can do this asynchronously online. The assignment, it will be due Sunday before midnight, so you're going to be okay. You've got plenty of time to even ask me questions on Thursday. So let's get going. Okay, so the first part of the PowerPoint talks about self-efficacy, and I do want you to read through this. I'll talk to you guys about it more when I see you on Thursday. But that self-efficacy, what you need to know is that it's basically describing a student's perceived abilities at performing a task. So please understand that it's similar to self-confidence, but it's really more related to educational tasks, work tasks, things like that. The student's belief about how well they will or may not perform on a mathematics task, learning in the English classroom, and so forth. Read through it. I'll talk to you guys about it more when I see you on Thursday. What's most important, though, here with this PowerPoint video is that I want to talk to you about before reading strategies. This is probably the most up-to-date slide I have on it. I've been doing this for a very long time, but I at least want you guys to have an understanding of some of these strategies that I want you to consider using in your content area. You have in the week 3 module there's one document in there called Before Reading Strategies Grid. You'll want to turn that in for an assignment grade. You only have to complete 3 entries. I want you to look at the 3 strategies you find most beneficial to you as a future high school or middle school teacher in your content area. So you may see that some of these strategies don't really all necessarily work with what you perceive yourself teaching. So the first one is story impressions. I mean, the title makes it sound like it's really more related to history or more related to an English classroom, but really it's about using words that students may have some familiarity with and having them activate background knowledge by creating a paragraph using those words in a way that they believe makes sense to them. So they're making connections and they're activating that very important background knowledge. Here's an example of what one might look like. And you don't have to use 10 words. And they don't have to be the vocabulary words for that unit. They could be words related that you want them to kind of have access to so that when you teach the new material, they have something to attach it to. So this is a really easy strategy to use. All you need is a word bank and have students create a paragraph or a story utilizing words that you feel like will be relevant to what will be learning in your class. KWL this is something I actually had my summer class use with the students they worked with from the summer camp program, and it went really, really well. A KWL chart is what do I know, what do I want to know, and what have I learned? So the first thing you're going to do is ask your group, what do we already know about? And it's whatever topic it is. It could be about hieroglyphics. It could be what do we already know is true about whatever topic you're teaching, right? And then have students give you suggestions. You can dictate it down or have the students come up after they've shared with the class and write it on themselves. Then what do I want to know is, once we've activated some background knowledge, what are some gaps that the students are aware of that they might want to know more about with whatever topic you're learning about. Here, students in the W part, they are actually they're creating a purpose for reading. And students having a purpose for reading is really important because it's going to help them really pay attention to the material as they read. Because if they already know what they want to learn, they've set a purpose for reading. That's very important for content reading. And then finally, what did I learn? At the end, they would come together and share, or they would, share what new information they learned. They may have answered some of those, what do I want to know questions, but they may not have. They may have learned things that they weren't expecting to. That's fine because it's a great way to assess their understanding and a great way to bring it all together at the end. So KWL, easy to use in all content areas. KWL Plus is kind of takes it a little further where you might have students create a narrative, like a paragraph describing the L portion of their KWL, or perhaps a graphic or a visual that would help assist them with bringing together what they've learned. It really depends on what you want to do. What I know activity, very similar. It's more interactive than a traditional KWL, and it integrates during reading strategies into the organizer. So if you guys have access to that in your chapter 6, fantastic, read more about it. But the general KWL strategy is a good one to use no matter what, even without the KWL plus or the what I know activity. Anticipation guides are really easy. Actually, I had you guys practice with one, I think the first or second week of class, where you think about statements. You give a yes or no answer based on your beliefs or your knowledge before you read about new information and learn new concepts. So it's basic and it's easy for teachers to create this. You can get a Word document, create a chart. It's a yes, no, true, false, agree, disagree type questions, or actually not even questions so much as statements related to what you're teaching. And they can look lots of different ways. Here's an example of one with smiley faces. This might be appropriate for some of my special education majors, or if you're planning on teaching in the elementary level as well. So that's your anticipation guide. This is more similar to what I gave you guys in class, where you've got a statement. Do I agree or disagree? Do I think it's true or false? At the beginning, before we address our new material, and then what are my perceptions at the end? Really easy to use, really easy to create, really fast way of activating background knowledge. Clustering is basically like webs. It's basically clustering ideas related to a new concept. To student writing, it's a nonlinear brainstorming process to free associations. And so basically with clustering, it's brainstorming web. As a class or even in small groups, have students create a web describing what they know or ideas related to your new topic for learning. And so, webbing is a fantastic way to get kids thinking about new topics or topics that they have maybe some background knowledge on, and they can start bringing that information in. And then at the end of their learning, you can even have them build into it more, or they can add the new information they learned. Fact storming, similar to anticipation guides. It also checks for students' prior knowledge. This isn't one that a lot of students are super excited about, but if you want to read more, read more. Fact storming's, a great way to activate that background knowledge. It's similar to anticipation guides. It's also similar in some ways to webbing. Like I said, if you're interested, learn more about it. I don't believe this is on your chart. If it is, you can decide to go with it or not. It's really up to you. I have had students use character quotes in this class, and it's not even necessarily with students they're going to actually work with. Character quotes is when I use a quote from a famous person or maybe someone related to or is tied to what we're learning in class, and using those quotes to come up with a character analysis of it. You want to be honest, like a character analysis of that person based on what they've said. So it helps acquaint students with the characters for narrative text, but it also helps with history. In science, if you're learning about a concept and you're going to learn about famous people related to scientific knowledge, it's a great way to get into that famous person's head. So really easy to use in English classes, also easy to use in history classes, and it could also apply to other courses as well. So they study a list of quotes. They work individually or in small groups to consider impressions they got from those quotes. The students present their list to the class of character traits. And then after all the quotes have been discussed, students develop a 4 to 5 sentence profile of that character, and then they learn more. So pre-reading plan, prep. Initial associations with the concept. It's a class brainstorming on a topic that they already know some stuff about. Initially, that's what so it's almost like a concept web. Reflections on initial associations. Students talk about how each of those concepts relate to each other. And then they reformulate it at the end of reading or learning, where they go back to that back to that web, back to that diagram that was created, and they build into it. It's a way to activate background knowledge and generate more information through discussions before reading a text. So you do want students discussing a lot more with a pre-reading plan than you might with a clustering. And then request. This one is fun. I would love to be teaching middle school again because I could totally use this strategy for students. It's a form of reciprocal teaching, and we're going to learn more about that in a week or so. And it helps struggling readers think as they read. So with a request, you're really sort of getting them actively engaged in reading. They become metacognitive with what they're reading because they have a task, and their task is to try to question the teacher about what they've read. So basically, students and teachers silently read a portion of the text, and then the teacher closes the book, and the students get to ask questions about that portion that was read. Then they read more, and then it's the teacher's turn to ask the students questions about what was read. So again, it's fun, it's easy to integrate. You just need to know where your stopping point's going to be. And students, I think, would really enjoy this, especially if you're trying to get them to really think as they read, because kids like to take the role of having some sort of agency in the classroom, and this would provide them with that. Okay, now, don't worry about this homework slide. The homework slide, ignore it. What I want you to do is take a look at I want you to take a look at the chart that's provided to you guys. Let me go ahead and get out of this real quick. The chart that's provided to you guys in Canvas, and I'm going to pull that up and talk to you guys about that right now. Again, I want you to read over the self-efficacy portion of that PowerPoint. We'll talk about it more Thursday. But let me pull up Canvas and show you what I want you to do. And then I'll share my screen again. Here we go. Okay. All right, so here we are in our week. And of course, I can see a lot more stuff than you guys can see. I know I haven't opened week 4 yet, but I'm going to do that later once I've checked all of the files and such. But what I want you to do is, I'm going to delete this because that is an old version of the PowerPoint I showed y'all today. Look through the PowerPoint again if you need to, or watch the video again if you need to. And then there's a grid. And on the grid, I just need you to fill out information on 3 strategies that you thought would work well with your content area. Is it anticipation guides, KWL, character quotes? Which of these themes to really work well with what you see yourself doing in the classroom? If you really feel like filling the whole thing out, fill the whole thing out. It's up to you. But I'm just asking you to do 3. Describe it in your own words. Tell me, does a student do a lot of the work, or is the teacher doing a lot of the work? Is it student-led or teacher-led? Honestly, you write that down because it's going to help you decide and become more strategic in the strategies that you choose. It's really, I'm not grading you on if you get that part right or wrong. You may decide that I want the students to do a lot of the brain work. Which of these strategies would appeal to me for that? Is it a discussion strategy? Is there writing involved? Just fill those out for 3 of these, more if you want to. Turn that in by Sunday midnight, and then I will see you guys on Thursday. If you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to contact me. I'm always available. I apologize for needing to be at City Hall. I had to actually talk in front of all the city council, which was interesting. But otherwise, y'all have a great afternoon. I will see y'all on Thursday for sure.